everybody. Welcome to Married Lifers. So I came on today just to talk about a few things. I had a meeting today that's called the Citizens Advocate Meeting for CDOC, and they touched on a few things that, that's all important to us people in Colorado and dealing with our loved ones here. So I guess the one that one of the major ones that they talked about was visiting, right? So we've been having problems with the visiting, the food machines and stuff like that. They are ending their contract with the current vendors as of June 30th, and they're getting a new vendor. This is supposed to be better, but as we're seeing with the phones, it is not. I can't even say it's not yet. We won't know until July 1st. So we'll have a new vendor starting July 1st for the visiting foods. The biggest one for me was the video visits. So what they explained to us is that it takes a long time and it's a lot of stuff that they have to get done in order to get the visiting kiosks in every pod in every facility in Colorado. It's going to take, they said it's going to take the first half of the year. So, from January until June. So right now what they have or what they're implementing in every facility is a temporary kiosk so that they have visits. They're saying, every facility is sending out different information, which is crazy in itself, which is frustrating for all of us. Right now, Lyman is the only one that has video visits, and they're dealing with so much problems, right? They're having, I know one of the girls was complaining that she had a video visit and her husband couldn't hear her. It kept cutting in and out. They're saying that they're working with the vendor, so Securus, to get all of this corrected. The other thing that we were complaining about that was addressed was the phone cords. So, currently their phone cords and they're super short. And so they're like it's already uncomfortable on those metal stools, and now it's worse. So what they told us is right now, Securus is going around to every facility and putting in a new phone model in there, which gives a longer phone cord. So they don't have to be stuck to the booth part of it or, whatever they're stuck to. That one was annoying for me. I also talked to them about, in my husband's pod, for example, there's 4 phones. Right now they're down 2. So they only have 2 for 65 to 70 guys. Like, really? You know what I mean? And phone calls are 20 minutes a call. So it's getting pretty hectic in there, which is causing problems. They did say for the tablets that everybody in the state is getting tablets at no cost to them. So I'm sure they're going to recoup their costs by offering like streaming services. They didn't address video visits on there, but I'm sure like video visits and stuff like that is how they're going to end up getting their money back from giving them for free. So a lot of the questions that were asked, most of the answers that was given to us was that it's a staffing issue, right? So they're saying that it's worldwide, or throughout the U.S. they're having problems. It's not just Colorado Department of Corrections; it's all of them. They're having problems with staffing, and the numbers they threw out to us was there was 1,700 job vacancies in Colorado alone at the beginning of the year. Right now they have 1,100. They had 490 something offers that they just sent out for employment. So we don't know what that's going to look like. But at the meeting, there was wardens from every facility, Sterling, CFT, Lyman, AVCF, CSP, DRDC, both the Long brothers were there. The panel was the head of prisons, Sensel was there, Matthew Henson was there, Michelle, Lisa Wiley. So it felt like, to me, it was a lot of information given, but it was a lot of, their answer was short staff. So the other thing, hi babe, the other thing with that is, I'll give you, for example, AVCF is a level 3 facility, right? So with the level 3 facility, it's supposed to be a progression move. So for example, Lyman is a level 4 facility. They offer more in Lyman than they do in in Arkansas Valley, which I asked him, like, where's the incentive for a guy to want to be on a progression move, you know, and go, work his way to go to a lower facility if it's being more restrictive? Like, that don't even make sense. So they didn't really answer a whole lot of that. Like, it was a lot of in circles, if you will. You ask them a question, it kind of went in circles. You know what I mean? There was a lot of questions that were submitted that they answered. And it was Michelle, which is, I believe, the director of prisons. She gave like textbook answers, if you will, right? So I asked about accountability. Clearly, I don't care what facility your loved one's in, we don't have accountability on the CO's part, on the staff's part, right? So she said that it's expected across the board for everybody to be accountable for their actions. And I'm like, we were all shaking our head. I know I definitely was looking her dead in her eyes and was like, no, that's not true. I can give you examples. I can give you emails. That is definitely not true. So it's like textbook answers. It wasn't really anything. The only good thing I found in that meeting was afterwards, there was maybe 2 small rows of family members and people speaking like advocates for the inmates. The rest was all officials. So wardens, parole board, their whole board was made up of, executives for the Department of Corrections. And they did acknowledge too that a lot of their answers were basically being answered with short staff is the issue for everything. So example, they did talk about programs. That's my other thing I wanted to bring up. The inmates are told when you get a progression move from a level 4 to a level 3, there's more programs offered. So I had asked that question and I used Lyman and AVCF as an example, right? Lyman's 4, AVCF is 3. The inmates are told, at Arkansas Valley, they have more programs, it's a progression move, it's better. She literally in her own mouth said that she looked at my question and Arkansas Valley and Lyman have the same amount of groups of classes offered. So where's the incentive to do better? Like, they don't make any sense. You know what I mean? The only difference between the 2 facilities is they have specialized classes. Like, so for example, in our specialized programs, in Arkansas Valley, they have Restoring Promises, which, keep in mind, that's for offenders under the age of 25. What about all the other offenders? You know what I mean? In Lyman, they have family reunification. Family reunification is super important to keep these guys going, to keep that connection with their families. Why isn't that offered in every state? I'm sorry, not every state, every facility. That doesn't even make sense. And then not only that, you offer it in a level 4, but not a level 3. Like, that doesn't make sense whatsoever. They're saying the programs, there's a lot of programs, but they can't just, and Stencil answered this and said he can't just freely open all the programming because they don't have enough staff to make sure that everybody's secure, that everybody's safe. So he's not going to open up the programming that we used to have, because then somebody can get hurt because there's not enough staff to, watch over. But there's enough staff to do constant shakedowns, which doesn't make sense. Like, they don't make sense, right? So they said they're working on everything they answered. They said they're working on, no dates given. And they keep saying, we understand that, we even recognize that every answer is, it's because we don't have enough staff. He's like, Stencil got up and said, I realize that that's the answer we're giving. He's like, we're not trying to make excuses. That's simply a fact. Okay, we get that, but you continue to punish them. You know what I mean? Like, I also asked a question about equality for religions. So I'll give you an example. For Christianity and Catholic people, they have all these things available to them. If they want to do their religious ceremonies or whatever, they don't have a problem. So Native Americans, they do the sweat lodges and stuff like that. It's practically impossible for them to even get donations for wood. Like they need wood for their ceremonies, and you have to go through so many loops and hoops and jumps to get them wood, to donate wood. Like wood's wood. Like they're out in the middle of nowhere. Why can't they get wood? You know what I mean? And they couldn't answer that. They said, well, they did. The answer they gave was that because, you know, Christians and Catholics are a bigger group, that's why it's easier for them to have access to the stuff that they need, versus Native American group, or, you know, Muslims, or whatever. They don't have the same access to stuff because they're a smaller religion, which doesn't make sense. You know what I mean? It's still not fair. Like you don't make no sense with that answer. What else did they talk about? Oh, so one of the girls there asked a good question. Beth, she had asked if, like, everybody's capped out for their Colorado packages, right? So like in one facility, the max is 100 or 125. Again, because I know both Lyman and AVCF. Lyman is a level 4 facility. They can have $125. AVCF is supposed to be a progression. They can only have $50. Where's the fucking progression at? Like, how is that better? And I'm giving you guys just a few examples. There's tons of them. And it's like, where is that a progression? How is that facility a progression to a level 4? To me, it sounds like a digression. You know what I'm saying? Like you're being punished more. I did talk to the warden in both AVCF and Lyman. Well, the assistant warden and Lyman, because the warden seen me and took off. He already knew what time it was. I was going to jam him up. But I did jam up the assistant warden and asked him about, you know what I mean, about the accountability of what they did to my husband, basically, you know. So I asked him about, like, the differences. I asked the warden in AVCF, like, you know, I'll give you guys, for example, in Lyman, when they go to chow, when they go to gym, when they go to rec or whatever, they can wear their sweats, white t-shirts. You know what I mean? They're free to roam from pod to pod if they want to go talk to other guys in different pods. At Arkansas Valley, they cannot do that. Anywhere they leave their dorm or their pods, they have to be in greens. How the fuck is that a progression move? You know what I mean? Like, to me, like, it's like, that's not a progression, that's a digression. And when I talked to the warden, he told me that it's because Lyman has automatic locks on their facility. So if something happens, they could lock everybody down quick. And for his facility, they don't have that. They have to manually lock things. You know what I mean? So that's why they can't have movement. He couldn't really explain to me why they're not able to walk around in their sweats and their t-shirts, and they have to be in greens all the time. But just listening to that, guys, like, tell me, if I'm that blind and I'm not seeing it, where is the progression from a level 4 facility to a 3? I don't see it. And it doesn't make any sense. They did talk about the House Bill 1037. It's in draft mode basically right now, and that's talking about the higher education with being able to take classes. And they named a few of the, you know, the facilities or the colleges that they can go to or get credits from in Colorado University in Denver. So CU in Denver is one of them. Trinidad Community College, Pueblo Community College, just to name a few, or some. Regis. Hold on, I'm looking at my notes, guys. Sorry. Adams State, and then Red Rocks Community College is another one. They're trying to give numbers on unemployment. They did talk a chunk about, you know, offering the COs, you know, places to keep their mind right, stuff like that, to help them get through a stressful job. My thing is, though, a lot of them make it that way themselves. And I did bring that up to the wardens when I talked to them. You know what I mean? Like, we have a lady that I've heard cuss the inmates out. You know what I mean? And it's like, how would you feel to get cussed out? You're doing with what one CO tells you to do, and then another CO that's above him cusses you out for doing that. And one of the COs was telling one of the inmates, "Yeah, walk away, bitch. You ain't gonna do fucking shit, you little bitch." Like, what? And this is what I talk about, guys. This is why I say what I say when I say that, I don't feel bad for the COs. There's a lot of good COs. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of good COs that are professional, that do their job. You know what I mean? They're strict, which they should be, but they're not disrespectful. That's disrespectful. You know what I mean? And then the COs want to be like, "Oh, well, he attacked me, and, I'm a CO just doing my job, and he's an inmate. He's in here for a reason." But what did you do? You know what I mean? Like, they don't want to come out and say, "Yeah, I cussed him out, called him a bitch, and put him down and made him feel bad." You know what I mean? They don't want to say that, but they want to be like, play victim after it. And for that, I don't have sympathy for it. You know what I mean? Like, me on the streets, you ain't going to talk to me like that. So, I mean, I went off on a little tangent because that's just my annoyance with it. You know what I mean? But I get there are a lot of good COs there. There are a lot of good COs that do need that help, which they talked about mental help and like PTSD help and stuff like that for them. Again, with the programming, they're not going to be there. They said they're working on bringing programs back, but it's again, they're blaming the staff shortage. So until that's rectified, a lot of the issues that we're asking them for is not going to get resolved. I did ask about foods. I know a lot of us know that in Sterling, they've been able to get, like, for example, Little Caesar pizza for visits. In Lyman, you don't have that. In Arkansas Valley, you don't have that. You know what I mean? In all the other facilities, the RDC, you don't have stuff like that. So why does one allow it and one don't? So what they're saying is that it's because of the location of the facility, the staffing of the facility, and then the food vendors. I did ask them about having food visits, and I wanted to elaborate it with Melissa, but by the time I was done talking with the wardens and stuff, she was gone. The question I asked was, how come we don't have food visits like they do in Arizona and New York? What it is in Arizona and New York is they have specialized visit days where you can bring food into the facility for your loved one, right? Which would rectify a lot of the food vending machine problems that we have. Because there's times when we go in there and the machine's not working. So you're sitting there with your loved one for 5 hours and, there's nothing there to eat. There's the snack machine, which has, the little bit of chips and cookies and stuff, but like no real food. There is a lot of older people that go in there that need some kind of substance. You know what I mean? And they're not looking at that. I asked them about culinary services. You know what I mean? Like, a few of the facilities, they used to have that, and they still have it now for the COs, where they, the inmates will make food and stuff and sell it to the COs to eat. Like, why can't they implement that in the prisons for the visits? You know what I mean? If it's okay for the COs, why isn't it okay for the visits? But she didn't really address that. That's why I wanted to elaborate with her. So I am going to send out another email and kind of elaborate and break down the policies for Arizona and New York and explain to her what the food visit was that I was talking about. So again, she just referred to the location and stuff like that of the facility, what's around there, which isn't, most of the facilities they're in the middle of nowhere. So there's nothing really around. Do you know what I'm saying? They said that some of the family reunification visits have started back up, but again, it's only a few and they're rare because of the shortage of staff. I asked them about accountability again. They said that, it was a generic answer saying that they expect everybody, whether it's executives, COs, wardens, inmates, they all expect everybody to be accountable, which is a lie. What else did they talk about? So I know in some of the facilities now they're changing over to where we don't have to use that white card anymore. We don't have to load that card. We can use a debit card. But just so you guys are aware, When you use a card, it has to have your name on it. It has to be the correct name that's on your driver's license, or they won't let you use it. One of my friends said that you have to use a card that has the little metal where you could tap, basically that little chip in it where you can tap, because where in Lyman, when you put the card in, like the thing's too far back. So if you don't have that tapping availability on your card, it's not going to work. So just keep that in mind, guys. I don't know how that's going to work at all the other facilities, but that's what it is at that facility. I'm not sure if I said that about the tablets. They're going to start handing them out to everybody January 1st, 2024, and they're going to be available to everybody at no cost. I know I said that part. The video visits, again, I already talked about that. Gate money. So gate money out the gate. So when they're paroled or they serve their time and they let them out, they're out with $100. There was a question asked that if they were on their second parole, if they get that 100, and they said no. So it's only $100 that they have gate money with. I talked about the colleges, staffing. And they just gave like generic answers for the inmate pay. That was another question. Like, how do you determine the inmate pay and who gets what? They said it's based off of working part-time, working full-time, the allotted money that the facility has. Like, all that comes into play, and that's how come they get paid the way they do. Which, with inflation, if they work part-time, it's $9 a month. If they work full-time, it's $18 a month. Like, what? Okay, that's basically everything. I touched on everything. They talked about Freedom Dog Services. It's not allowed in visiting because a lot of people have allergies and they just can't risk it because they don't know who does and who doesn't. Gym times, they're asking about gym times for Sterling, but it's across the board. Like, everybody's been getting their gym times, their rec times taken away. And again, their answer was short staff. They can't do nothing about it until we get staff. DUPI, I think that's what it's called. That program, I know more information about it. I'm not going to share that. I guess I shouldn't have said that, but whatever. So DUI Pi, or whatever it's called. I said DUPI, DUI Pi, DUPI, whatever. That was doing the radio station, some other stuff. That is no longer a thing within DOC, CDOC. Melissa also said that they haven't really talked about it yet, but it's still not a thing. You know what I mean? I don't think it's coming back from what a lot of people were told when everything first happened and they stopped DUPI. I think that's what they call it, whatever. When they stopped that, they said that wasn't coming back. That was done for CDOC. One person messed it up for everybody. And I kind of don't think that's fair. It's not fair. Like, one or two people, fucked it up for an entire state. So, do with that what you're going to do, but that's not coming back. They said it wasn't going to come back. They gave that answer of, as of now, they talked about it and it's not coming back. They don't know if it will. They haven't got any answers on that. But when the incidents first happened and they stopped everything, they straight up said that they're done with it. They're not coming back. So if they do come back, I'll be surprised. But, from the beginning, when it stopped, they said they weren't coming back. So that's everything for the meeting in a nutshell. There was some other stuff that was talked about that I didn't really get to, that I didn't get notes written down. But Beth Stone, I seen her today. I didn't really get to talk to her, but she did do a good post on Facebook. So I will share it in my Lyman group. And, if anybody has questions, you can feel free to reach out to me privately on Facebook, here, whatever. I'll be more than happy to answer the questions for you. It would be nice, I get it. They made this meeting. I think they did that on purpose because how many people can take a Wednesday off in the middle of the day for a meeting? You know what I mean? We all got jobs. I have 2 jobs. But it would be nice if more people can take time because, there was probably like 20 rows, 2 sections of like 20 rows, and there was 2 on one side. that was the family art, advocates, and all the seats weren't even filled. The rest was all CDOC. You know what I mean? And we need more people to stand up and talk. At the very least, we need more people to send questions when these come up. So when they come up again, I'll definitely share the link. I mean, I feel like we got a few answers, so it was a lot of information, but at the same time, when I put in my post, it wasn't, if that made sense. The reason why I said it wasn't was because a lot of the things we had asked and a lot of the answers that they had given us was all short staff, like no programs, no movement, yard. All this stuff is because of short staff. Then they can't do anything about it until they get people to work for them. So, they talked about that $1 billion budget, but he was like, we were already stretched to the max and we got this 1 billion, but it sounds like he's trying to say that that's not enough for anything, which doesn't make sense. That's a lot of money. So we'll see what happens. As they push information out, I'll share what I get. You know what I mean? I'll stay on it and share it with you guys. I just wanted to get on here and explain it because it was kind of a lot of subjects that we touched on. The basic answer for everything was short staff. So it's a problem with the staffing. There's not enough staff. So again, if you guys have any questions or anything, let me know. I think, I'm not sure. I think we're going to come live, me and my husband, Friday. But I'll put out a notice and send it to everybody once we do that. We'll be back to our regular programming. I just want to touch on this meeting because it was, it was a meeting that was done today and it was important to all of us. So until next time, guys, thank you for joining. Married Lifers.